Let's go ahead and go through some wins. I know Gabriel was just sharing a little bit about his win there, but I'd certainly love to hear any wins that anyone has had, anything that you guys want to share, and then we'll carve into some interesting things that I think will help you all really get your machine business built versus something that might be a little bit more hand crank and misguided, so to speak, based upon lack of direction. So let's carve into this. Any wins on anyone's side? Let's go, Chad. Let's do it. Come off mute, buddy.
Yeah, my win is it's not relatively new, but what it is tomorrow I get to team up with Rob, my coach, my mentor, on a line striping project that I got, and he's going to be doing the line striping, and I'm going to be directing traffic and all that fun stuff. So
Nice.
one more job before the season's done.
Fantastic. And just so everyone knows, gets a pulse geographically, where are you located, Chad?
Ontario, Canada. Cortland, Ontario.
Starting to get cold up there.
Yep. It was 1 degree this morning.
What do other asphalt maintenance companies do up in the Ontario region when the snow starts to fly? What do the majority of asphalt maintenance companies do during that time?
A lot of them are doing snow removal, snow plowing and stuff like that.
What happens when you're snow plowing and doing snow removal out on lots? What can happen to that asphalt throughout the winter?
You end up with potholes, right?
Yeah, man. You gonna be hunting potholes this winter and getting some relationships built by doing that?
Absolutely. Yes, I am. Yeah, I got a few commercial relationships I'm building right now in the works, and it's going fairly well, and I'm gaining some trust, which is important. So, you know, there's some lots here in Tillsonburg, Ontario, Canada, that are really hurting and need some love. Like, there's a lot of money to be spent here on parking lots. So I'm going after them.
Who here has asphalt parking lots in a 100-mile radius of where they're located right now? Raise your hand. 100-mile radius from where you are, asphalt parking lots. Let me ask another question. How many of you have parking lots that are 25,000 square feet around that within a 100-mile radius of you? How many of those parking lots do you think have potholes on them? If you were to guess, make the percentage. This is 100%. This is 50%. This is 20%. On the parking lots in your geographical area, what would you say if you were just going to guess the number of potholes? So Chuck says 80% would have some potholes, maybe some tripping hazards, right? Some liability risks. Come on, everyone else, come on, just so we get a pulse on it. Chad's saying almost 100%. So, wow, 50%. Lot of opportunities there, right? And so raise your hand here if you have a prospect list of all of the 25,000 square foot lots in your 100-mile radius right now. Raise your hand if you have a prospect list of all those 25,000 square footers. All right, cool. Write that down. Write that on a bumper sticker, everyone. 25,000 square foot. Who here feels that it would be important for you guys to be working on job targets that are the right average job value for your business to be able to build enterprise value? Raise your hand if you feel like it's important to have that average job size that you should be working on, no matter what maintenance you're providing, whether it's crack sealing, seal coating, striping. I think that we all agree with that, right? So step one, make sure that you build your prospect list for 25,000 square footers, because what you're going to usually find is that those 25,000 square footers are a real cool target when it comes down to providing asphalt maintenance services. The other thing is those 25,000 square footers, a lot of the time are just privately owned. So you end up in a spot that's pretty cool. And when I say privately owned or privately managed. And so you can actually target those people to be able to get faster decisions out of them, because they can make decisions quickly. Whereas if you're dealing with a 100,000 square foot commercial complex, you might be dealing with something that has to go through multiple layers and even presented to a board, right? So just think about those targets. Those could be some really good targets for you guys. And then raise your hand here is, let's just say hypothetically that you had your prospect list developed on a Google Sheet or in AK Dash or in Jobber or in Salesforce or in HubSpot, or just at least put it in somewhere. But let's say that you had your prospect list of, actually, let me ask another question. How many, type in the chat if you can, if you guys have access to the chat, how many 25,000 square foot lots, to give you an idea, that's like a Chick-fil-A or a McDonald's, 25,000 square foot. How many of those size lots do you think that you have within a 100-mile radius? If you were to type that in the chat. Type that in the chat. 1,000 plus 500, at least 100,000. Holy cow, that's a serious prospect list, right? So, okay, so let's say hypothetically they're on a prospect list. Step one, that's the life cycle stage of that deal, prospect list. We got something we're shooting for. What happens after we move from a prospect list? What do we need to do with that prospect list? Put your hands up if you know what you need to do. Next step, once you have that prospect list. Gabriel, what's the next step?
You reach the person responsible for the management of the property. And if you don't reach them, then you try to get that contact information, at least leave a follow-up, try to get as close as you can to the person who's making the actual decision of the property. And then at least on the process that we've been going through, you pretty much kind of give out the idea of doing a pavement assessment on that property.
Okay, cool. So you have a prospect that's on a list, which is a target that you're going for, right? And now your next step, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we want to turn them into a lead, where we actually are making an outreach and there's actually a person that we've responded to and that we're actually understanding who's responsible for the pavement asset, right? When we reach out on that initial call. When we do that initial call and we communicate with that individual, our goal is not to pitch them a proposal, right? Gabriel, like you just said, our goal is to understand some of their pain points, right? Because I think that, again, as part of our sales training that we consistently do at AK, is that people don't want to have quotes shoved down their throat. They want to actually be heard. They want to tell you about their pain when you ask them some really important questions that gets them to speak. And so as part of that process, team, what you need to make sure of is that when you go from lead to asking them the important questions and they start telling you their pain, you move them from a lead stage in your pipeline to a sales qualified lead. That's what an SQL stands for. Once you move them to a sales qualified lead, in this scenario, this is just a demo account, but we should have this stacked, right? But once you have a sales qualified lead and you're communicating, Gabriel, what was that step that you just said is a really important step to go from sales qualified lead to
an assessment booked?
A pavement assessment booked. Sales qualified lead to then we get them their pavement assessment. And then once we get them their pavement assessment, which is like a report card for their parking lot or a medical report, once we give that to them and it doesn't have pricing, it's just information giving them details about the safety, the life cycle stage, and how the parking lot looks. What are we doing with that pavement assessment once we deliver it? What's our goal? Anybody? The goal is to take the pavement assessment and convert it into a proposal that actually has pricing. Now they've got the quote. Notice that there's 4 stages that I've gone through right here to be able to get them a proposal. And then, of course, I move it to close one or close loss, depending on, of course, the outcome of that deal. But my point is this: if somebody calls you up and says, hey, send me a proposal, I'm not saying that you need to work the lead, sales qualified lead, pavement assessment, and proposal. I'm not, sorry, and pavement assessment. You can jump straight to proposal. But if you're working a TOF, a top of the funnel list of the 25,000 square foot targets in your area, I think that what we would want to identify are the 3 layers of prospecting: people you know, people your people know, and cold call, and work them from left to right in that pipeline. Is that making sense, everyone? Are you on side with this? This is important, really important stuff. A lot of people don't know how to work a pipeline, and it's not difficult. Like literally data entry, change life cycle stage, boom, next step, next step. It's like the yellow brick road. Go ahead, Gabriel, you got your hands up, brother. We can't hear you, you're muted.
Sorry about that. Can you go a little bit more on what goes from getting someone from a lead to a sales qualified lead, if I may ask?
Yeah, so a lead to a sales qualified lead is, I want you to imagine that I'll tell you a story. I arrive at this parking lot on Martin Luther King in Houma, Louisiana, and this is a 300,000 square foot lot, and I'm going into the gym with my wife and the kids, and I get out of the door of the car and I look down, there's a pothole, there's a tripping hazard on this parking lot. And I'm like, man, some of you have heard this story, but like, I've got to help the person responsible for the pavement here understand that there's a liability risk, a tripping hazard, and there could be somebody that's going to have a trip and fall accident on this lot. And that property management company is going to want to know about this, or whoever's responsible for the pavement. They might not know. 300,000 square feet. I think we can all agree it's hard to track every pothole in a parking lot, right? Until you have a pavement management solutions business like you guys, and you're actually doing the pothole hunting and you're making them aware of this stuff so you can help them understand how they can solve their pain. But the bottom line is I actually saw that pothole. And at that point, I'm like, I got to figure out who that prospect is. I got to find out who is the person responsible for that pavement. Follow me so far, Gabriel? Good, everyone? Cool. I need to find out who the person is. That's a prospect. At the point that I'm going out to actually find that prospect, I've got to find the person. I've got to find someone who knows the person. But I walk into a furniture store and I speak with the manager of the furniture store, and I'm like, do you know the person who's responsible for the pavement outside? There's a tripping hazard out there. Last thing I want is somebody falling. I'm in the pavement business. Last thing I want is someone trip and fall. And she's like, oh yeah, it's so-and-so, Giovanna something, okay? And she gives me a business card with the number, and it's facility manager, and it says cell phone number with her name and her email address on the card. And she like literally, the card's in my hand. I'm like, let me snap a picture with my phone. I grab a picture of the business card. I'm like, boom, prospect. On my list, my prospect list is now, I've got her information on there. She's a prospect. But I now need to turn her into a lead, a qualified lead, right? I gotta move her into a lead status. So what do? I take the initiative and activity to be able to connect with her. What are the ways that we can connect in today's time? Billy, what are some of the tactical ways? Give me 3 ways that we can connect with that property manager. 3 ways.
Text, call, email.
Text, call, email, and let's do a bonus one. What's one more we could do?
LinkedIn messaging.
LinkedIn messaging, property management. All right. So 4 connections, 4 different opportunities to connect. Those 4 different opportunities to connect, and all of a sudden she responds back to me by email. Now I've got a lead. She's engaged. And I say, I want to send through the video that I took of the pothole in the parking lot to let her know exactly where it was, so I could open up an opportunity to move her to a sales qualified lead at the point that she starts to speak about the sales activity relating to that in a personalized fashion where we're actually engaged. That's a sales qualified lead. Make sense?
So kind of like, even sometimes, even like going to the 4 stages, like sometimes maybe we show like the pavement assessment, even if it's not even a quote. But in your case, it's more like you get into the specific initial pain point, which is like the pothole, the liability issue that you found. They try to take a picture of, and then that gets you into the better connection, more like personal kind of.
So they're in a prospect stage in the C part of the closer framework still. As soon as they start to go into the L portion of the closer framework, the label, you've gone through the sales training, so you know it, but labeling them with a problem, that right there turns them into a sales qualified lead because they've identified that they've got problems and they've admitted it to you. And now you're coming up with solutions to solve their problems.
Got it. I appreciate it.
Pleasure. Any questions on this stuff? By the way, closer framework, if you guys want to know more about that, right on our YouTube channel on Asphalt Kingdom, you can literally type in Asphalt Kingdom closer framework and you'll see some videos of me speaking about that if you guys have interest. It helps. Just gives a bit of a journey in your sales processes that can bring somebody through to the point of conversion. Yes, Billy, let's roll.
What I've noticed sometimes it's a lot of the people working, whether it be a manager, they don't want to give out a name, number, or anything to the owner. Sometimes in a business card is just a business card. So sometimes leaving a letter that's addressed to the owner, and you can put in, make it personal, handwritten, put your business card in there. You can print the assessment out. Because a lot of people, they, owners or older population, they might not check their email or have access. Sometimes that can be helpful.
There's absolutely no doubt, like what you just said, Billy, around like the old fashioned way of being able to actually market is something that's coming back into modern times because that personalization is so important in times where, who here receives like 45, 50, 100 spam emails a day or that comes into your accounts, right? And it's like, I mean, and everybody's turned to what I call lazy inbound marketing or email blasting outbound marketing, that they're just trying to push a button and use MailChimp or some kind of a platform to just shoot out a generic message, right? And so when you think about that printout of the assessment and you have an actual in an envelope that's handwritten on the front and your company logo that's maybe on there as well as a stamp that you've put on there or printed, right? I mean, and that's something too, like direct mail right now is coming back where you're actually sending an envelope in, but the stamp is finger pressed and slightly twisted on the envelope. So it's not perfect, right? Dami, what's up, man? You've been seal coating a little bit out there or what? We can't hear you. Your volume is not on, brother. No volume. But yeah, you've been going a million miles an hour, Dom. But yeah, that stamp on the front of those envelopes work out really, really well for direct mail for sure. Yeah. The calls too are really important, like actually making a phone call and being practiced on an outbound call. It's called a cadence, right? Cadence, I think, is what we call this. What does the cadence look like at the point that you have prospect list of, let's say 50, 25,000 square foot lots that you're going after? What does that cadence look like for you? Am I sending an email and a phone call and a LinkedIn inbox and a text message all at the same time? Raise your hand if you think you should do all of those things right at the same time. So in today's outbounding is that there's cadences like you'll do 14 days with like 10 touch points, or you'll do like 20 days with 14 touch points. And it will be a mix between email, phone, connect on social media, like one of their LinkedIn posts, drop them an inbox. So those cadences are pretty cool. Who here is interested in reading a book that can help you with your outbound sales efforts? Yeah. All right, cool. It's called Outbounding. You can listen to it on Audible or you can read it on Kindle, but outbounding is pretty badass. We just recently listened to it. A bunch of our team members are listening to it, and it's neat to see modern day sales, like good old school ways of selling, come back into play because everyone's got pretty lazy. So there's some fun stuff in there. Fun stuff. All right, Billy, what did you say there? Go ahead. What did you mention in the chat?
Just you know, sometimes it's easy to give up, like when you're prospecting and you think you got a warm lead and you contact them and they don't directly tell you no. They just say they're kicking the can to the right due to budgeting or funding, and they tell you to call back in a month or so. And reality is that's a lot of times I even forget to sometimes I forget to put a notification in to call them back. But sometimes just being persistent, unless they say no, stop calling and block your number, technically they're still should be in your pipeline, right?
Yeah.
I can add to that. I talked to a guy today and he started the conversation off by saying, so I'm ordering this because just to get you off my calling list. And I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, well, you've been calling me since last October. I'm like, no, that was September. He's like, oh, wow. Didn't know it was more than a year. So persistence does pay off. And we talked about cadence just a second ago. If you're friendly, if you're helpful, and you're persistent, and you're consistent with that, you can win.
That needs to go on a bumper sticker 100%. How many touches does it take in today's market to close a deal?
At least 14.
I mean, I'll give you an idea, right? Like we're in the middle. I'll just be transparent with all of you. We're in the middle of potentially switching a merchant account, our merchant account. And it's a big decision when you're switching a merchant account. And the guy that is with Stripe followed up 44 times with us as of yesterday, and it looks like we will be moving business over. It took 44 independent communications that did not look like they were a template. Pretty wild, right? Think about that. 44. Let me ask you right now, would you, if I told you right now that you could increase your chances of closing enterprise level deals that would be worth, let's say, $5 million over 5 years for you, and you were able to look at the statistics around your closing ratio, and you were able to actually lay out what that plan looked like, would you be willing to put the 44 custom tailored communications in to try and land that business? I'm just curious. I'm just throwing that at everyone, right? Like, and I'm not saying that we're going to go hunt that, but what I am saying is that if you're really working some enterprise level deals, maybe it warrants the time to not just rush your pavement assessment. Maybe it warrants the time to not just rush a proposal out. And maybe it warrants the need for you to really dig into custom tailoring solutions for that particular client so you can earn them for life. So next time you're going through a proposal, next time you're sending an email, next time you're doing a phone call to someone that really is important to you in your business, think about it before you just pick up that number, pick up that phone and dial a number. Think about it before you send the text message. A lot of the time we rush pretty quickly because of everything going on, but that can also hold us inside of a hamster wheel, preventing us from growing beyond where we are right now. Gabriel?
Sorry, I had the hand raising up, but I think I forgot. Matthias was talking about persistence, right? In sales? Oh yeah, sorry, I remember now. Sorry about that. He actually reminded me of another important note, which is more often than not, and you can see that in this round table, and probably with the follow-ups that you mentioned, even us entrepreneurs, we need to be reminded more than we need to be taught. Like if I took the last 100 round tables, I think there's still the same 5 key concepts of make a prospect list, set your targets, do revenue goals, follow that goddamn process, lay out the yellow brick road. And if you're actually looking to make 500,000, you're making 100,000, you're making $1 million, be realistic of how you can achieve that compared to your job size versus job, for example, targets and building relationships. But it's just the same repetition. Why? Because we forget about it. It's the same thing like with the follow-ups. Sometimes we just forget and we need to be reminded. Like sometimes I call customers and like, oh, I forgot about that. We do need to take care of our asphalt, don't we? And then, okay.
I think that one right there is super important, is that you need to have a circle that reminds you, but you also need to have the processes and systems to remind you internally. That's why having at a glance dashboards are crucial. Having your revenue roadmaps that are there. A machine will hold you accountable for a certain period of time. Like your calendar on your phones right now are going to hold you accountable up until a certain point. It will let you know the alert, but there's not some big red floppy hand that comes out of your phone and goes, psh, psh, you totally missed that meeting. You know what I mean? And so you have to have that discipline built up in you to execute on the plan that you've committed to. And I will tell you, like, that right there is the reminder, and just getting into that rhythm of discipline and following the process, as we say. But the second thing that I watch, and coaching clients that have grown multi-million-dollar companies, and coaching people who are just starting out, whether they're like from a super broker perspective, or whether they're building an asphalt maintenance business, a small seal coating business from the ground up. The hardest part of building any business, I don't care what business, what size it is staying disciplined on what it is that you've committed to. If you need to wake up at 4:30 in the morning to be able to go to the gym, and you're going to do that every morning, and you've committed to yourself that you're going to do that, and you fall off track, and now you're not the best physical way that you want to be, if you're not taking the time out for your family to find that balance with your family and really committing to that and blocking out your calendar, if you're not staying focused on the number of proposals you've got to put out every single week, and you start falling behind the revenue roadmaps that you have set, if you're not staying focused on the critical drivers and your KPIs in your business, because of one, you're not taught properly, but if you are taught properly, what happens is it's the discipline that fails. To be clear, people can be taught how to use something. We all can learn. We're all here. The question is, are we willing to follow it through, even though it's painful, until we get the momentum that's needed in order to scale something of magnitude that we're really excited about, and it's giving us the future that we've really desired and dreamt about right now. That's really what it's about. Like, I'll be honest, team. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. Coming and doing the roundtable every single week, where I've missed on less than 2 hands the total number of meetings in 3 years. In 3 years. When I have to take time away from my children and my family, oh, Dad, you got to go do another roundtable, Dad. Like, you got to go do that again. Come on, Dad, just play with us. You know, those are my kids, right? And I'm like, the reason why I'm doing that, the roundtable, is because I get to pour into people every single week, and I'm able to keep the discipline in my life to stay with this rhythm. And the more I'm rhythmed in this disciplined mindset, and the more I show up, and the more that I pour into you guys, because that's what it is that my gift is, the more my children can actually see the testimonials and the case studies that pour out on YouTube, and the people that brag and preach about how they've built a business and the freedom they're looking for, no matter what that is, that they're in a better spot than when they were before, when they first met me. And so, like, that's what I want my children seeing. But do I enjoy coming to the roundtable every week? Yeah. Is it something that's hard for me? Yeah, it's hard to show up here every week, guys. It's hard to wake up at 4:30 every morning. But my question to you guys, each and every one of you, is how disciplined are you going to be remaining once you've been taught? That's all it is. Anybody on here can make $500,000 a year, and they can walk home with $250,000 to $280,000 a year. And you could do that, like, in your first year, maybe your second year, if you actually were taught the ropes on how to do that stuff. Like, if you invested into learning the details of the systems and the processes, and you had a team of people that you could plug into that, if you did that, then you would grow like crazy. If you want to be a one-man pothole hunting show, and you want to go out and make $100,000 a year, you could do that too. But you got to go out and you got to hunt the potholes. You got to put the proposals out. You got to close those deals. You got to stay disciplined to do that. And then you've got to go out and do the work, right? And schedule that stuff. But I think everybody on side with me, you get my drift, right? Processes, systems, follow the dang process, discipline, 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 discipline. Any questions? Any comments? Gabriel, you're on fire. I love it. What's up? Tell us everything. You're muted. You're muted.
I said yeah because I miss a lot of round tables and I'm kind of kicking my ass on that. I kind of made myself a promise. Like, there's no reason for me to miss another one again. Like, the other thing is because you were talking about the being staying consistent. Like, that's something that you have to work a lot mentally because, especially in this business, you feel because you have a shorter season that you push hard, but sometimes like you get stuck in that, like the hamster wheel kind of. And the other thing is, as entrepreneurs, I feel like another fallacy. I don't know if you've seen that with coaching clients or with people. I feel like a lot of people sometimes get I call it the shiny woman on the red dress of like
Alex
seeing,
Hormozy.
yeah, I love like that. So like seeing like a better opportunity come by or like the grass is green on the other side, but it never is until you realize the ins and out of what's really going on and how it works. If like that makes sense.
100%.
It's interesting because you can actually apply that to your customer because your consistency, your effort. Some clients won't actually respond to you until they see that you're consistent. They won't even answer the phone. They won't answer an email. They won't answer a text. They just won't because they want you to earn the loyalty you put into them. Because if you are not loyal to start with, if you're not consistent to start with, and you're a fly-by-night little seed, just like sitting around going, yeah, I'll pick up whatever sticks, they're not interested, right? And especially, Judd was talking about larger corporate clients where you have $1 million a year from one customer. If that's sort of the mental attitude going in there, I'm going to go, oh, I'm just going to pull this off and just like, yeah, one and done. If that's the attitude, they're going to feel that right away. If you're not consistently following up, connecting, whatever those, the links, you could go through every single social media account, whatever it is, whatever your follow-up is, if it's a video, if it's a text, if it's a, hey, just thought of you, walk by your building today. Hey, how's it going out there with your current thing? And it could be just the one moment where you're like, man, this guy's been following up a lot. And I just had a really bad day with my asphalt guy. I need to talk to him. So just be consistent. It really helps.
The analogy lady in the red dress, Alex Hormozy, you got to Google or YouTube that. It's really, really cool. And it's a saying that is distracting, I guess. The lady in the red dress is distracting is the analogy. What I will say is this. When you're out working something that is really important for the future of your enterprise, your business, you will get distracted 100% by the quick short-term bumps of money that will occupy and suck away the time that prevents you from following up from the accounts that are super important. I'm not saying to not do the smaller jobs. I'm just saying be aware when you're doing them that will create interference and you may get tired at the end of the day and say, I'll just follow up tomorrow. And then you'll lose track of that. You'll push it off next day. So just remember that the key accounts, and I would write this down, like, who are my key accounts? Like, who are my key accounts? And if you had 50 of those key accounts on a Google Sheet, I think your business warrants the need for that to have 50 key accounts. Start with one, start with two, but find 50 key accounts. I know that Skylar at ProSeal, Dom, I know that you guys know who your key accounts are, the ones that make up about 80% of the revenue at ProSeal, and that is going to drive multi-millions of dollars a year coming over the next couple of years, if not now. So the bottom line is that you have to really, really identify that these key accounts that you're going to work will take a lot of time in order to convert them. But once you've converted them and they know, like, and trust you, guess who's knocking on your door every single day that they need something done on the asphalt?
100%, Judd. Like, it's like once we secure those accounts, let me tell you guys something. A call a week comes in. Every week. As soon as we finish a project, they're booking us for the next one. As soon as we're coming to close the next project, they're scheduling us for the next one. They don't schedule us all at the same time, but every time we show up, every time we deliver, every time we show them how consistent and how well we perform our services, bang, they give us another opportunity. And it just keeps happening, and we keep expanding, and it couldn't be truer. It's unbelievable how it works. It really is. It's incredible.
How many square feet have you guys seal coated in the last 2 weeks, man? In October?
Somewhere around 1 million, I would say.
Million square feet.
Yeah.
Crack sealing projects, patching projects, new truck I saw come in.
Yeah, we got a new truck today. We're building that. So I'm finally getting the opportunity to build out our asphalt, our patch crew. So it's going really well. But yeah, every job we're averaging about, between 5 and 15,000 linear feet of cracks on, every large account. So, we go out, we're doing, 5 to 10,000 linear feet of cracks a day and 100,000 square feet a day. And we're just trying to really stay super consistent to that and, really dialing in, that system and creating the processes around that. And that's really it's driving things. Believe it or not, the more I understand how systems and processes are so important, and then really finding the right people, like what type of people fit into that I can trust, that will go out there and have the grit and have the mental capacity to handle what we're asking them to do. It's amazing how it's easy to grow, and understanding those little elements, which I'm learning a lot right now. It was like I struggled so much before because I didn't understand how to do it, but it comes down to systems and processes and understanding how to get the right people in the right places that you can trust, that are super high performers, and build a sick team. And it's amazing. It's amazing what happens, right? But you have to stay consistent. You got to show up. Like I got to show up every day. I got to bring the culture. I got to bring the energy. And if I don't show up and I don't bring the energy, the team feels it. They feel it 100% throughout the entire company. Everyone's dragging ass, right? So, and that accountability for me has brought me to the next level of my journey, which I'm super grateful for. But it's if I didn't push myself to get into this environment and say, you know what, I do have so much more to learn, and I put myself here, now it's like, holy crap, right? It really is an amazing journey once you really understand, what you're great at and who you need around you. And it's pretty awesome. It is.
Where are you right now?
Right now I'm in my shop.
What time is it?
It is 7:46. So typically I run like typically about a 12 to 15 hour day every day. And then, I will throw in, I'll go sleep a couple hours, maybe go on third shift, and then just, it takes a lot to build, a culture like this, it really does. But I love it.
So the question I have, and Jesus, I'm coming to you as well. The thing that I find so amazing is that when I see someone at the Dundas roundup that we had last fall, right around the same time 1 year ago, Skylar was in that room. I asked everyone in the room, I said, where do you want to be revenue wise in 18 months from now? Where do you want to be? And everyone said the number, and then Skylar jumped up out of his seat and he's like, 5 million.
Yep.
And I'm like, and he was so passionate, because for those of you who know Skylar, he's like, I'm doing it. This is it. I'm going to do it, whatever it takes to do that. And not just 5 million in revenue, but he's gone into understanding all his numbers and really getting the right people involved and so on and so forth. But the reality of it is he could not do it without a badass team that's willing to go above and beyond for his organization, that's willing to do the 12 to 15 hours, is willing to do what Dom's doing. It's willing to do what Dylan Malone and Matthias are doing right now on here with you guys as well, who've been on the phone on literally all day long working tasks. Like that to me is something that's so special. So Dom, congratulations. Skylar, congratulations. Pro Seal, the whole team over there. You guys are kicking ass. I know that you guys are going above and beyond to build what it is that the dream is, man. What Skylar's been dreaming as the leader of that company, and what you're dreaming as well, in alignment with that, on how to take this thing to a whole new level. And you guys are doing it, man, straight up. So hats off to you guys.
Thank you, Judd. Means a lot. Means a lot, brother.
Let's go. As Dom says, let's go.
Every morning.
Right?
Every
Every
fucking morning
morning.
I walk through the door. Can be sure of that.
Hey, Zeus, what's happening, man? You got your hand up. And then I think we also have some more questions that are coming in. We've got Levi on here as well. I can see Billy responded there, but maybe we can address that question right after. Hey, Zeus, what's up?
Yeah,
How can we
so
help you, bro?
basically, hey, hi everybody. I'm calling from San Diego, California. And I can relate to everybody here in a perspective. I still don't have a company. This is my first time in a roundtable, and wanted to kind of jump in and try to get information. How do you guys start it? In the application of starting the business, getting your licenses in this type of field. What's catching my eye to kind of get involved into this field is that as a project manager into a real enterprise company, I constantly have to be doing slurry seals, striping, in that nature, right? Because we got to maintain the real estate in a certain pristine way. So after seeing some of the revenue that some of these companies are bringing in, because I got to do the invoices, pay them, it's a great amount of revenue based for the time of work they input in. And so, before I ask my question, or keep asking my question, in enterprise wise, how to keep building and get involved into that, it will be consistency, reliability, and follow-ups, because that's what us as myself hiring these asphalt companies is constantly follow us, making sure that the work is done correctly. If they came on a weekend and it was done right, and you hear that follow-up, hey, Jesus, how's this asphalt? Is there any issues? Is there anything? That's what wants to keep hiring that company, right? And that's how you can start getting yourself into enterprise companies with millions of square feet of asphalt. So that would be the key point, and follow up some of the let's say line of business or facility managers, their tasks to do a 2 to 4 years asphalt slurry seal, and sometimes they don't do it because they don't have the time to do it, or follow up with the vendors. And that's where the vendors come in and say, hey, kind of touch bases. Hey, is the second year that we slurry seal this floor? Do you have any other buildings? And then you start pinging them, and that's how you start getting that forgiveness of the internal part of it, to get that business right.
Yeah, it's so important. It's so important to keep on that consistency. At the end of the day, it's like, Jesus, when a decision's going to be made, you're generally going to try to do it with somebody that's created a remarkable experience with you.
Absolutely,
that's the acronym. That's the acronym, right? That's CARE, create a remarkable experience. I know I say that, I repeat myself on that one, but tattoo that stuff on you guys, or maybe not if for those of you that don't like tattoos, don't, but for those of you that do, try to tattoo that into your memory. Create a remarkable experience. Think of Be Our Guest. Think about never lose another customer again. What are you going to do to really do that and give that experience? So to answer your question, Jesus, did you have a question about company formation, about what do you?
Yeah, it's based on all the crew involved here, and I want to see a little bit of feedback, or how do you guys start it? What's the right path to start a slurry seal or striping company? What are the requirements, right? In a way of taking out the license, because I've been doing a significant amount of research, but they're not clear. They're not clear.
California is definitely not clear, bro. Like, you got so much red tape in that state. It is crazy, man.
I mean, I know, and trust me, I've been banging my head as a project manager. It's it's easier to get people, but it's hard when you want to get a license, right? Because out here, my understanding is the C32 license, which is asphalt and highway striping. But that's why I'm still stuck in this journey. Like I can't move forward because I want to do things right, but what's the right path to go without um a big hoop or loop that I won't get to it, right?
I've got all the prerequisites for the state of California that I can share with you if you want. If you want to just
Okay.
send me an email right there, I will be happy to send you over the document.
Absolutely, that would be great. Yeah, because that's where I'm kind of stuck in, and marketing or that perspective of trying to get leads based on my current role, it's a little bit I can say a little bit easier. But the biggest part is because out here there's a lot of competition, and meaning there's pretty much sun all around year round. So it's a little creative, and they got to be creative on that perspective. But it's a startup, the kickoff of to start doing it right. Of course, like I said, California, it's very big on your rules and regulations. You got to kind of follow by them, and if you don't do them, it'll eat you up, right?
100%, man. Yep. You don't want to get yourself in any kind of insurance or permitting challenges, licensing issues or whatever. So best to just follow, especially in California. I know that California is really, really tight right now.
Right. So I'll still send you an email, right, Judd?
Yep. You can send
Okay.
me an email. Yep. Judd at Asphalt Kingdom. Yep.
Perfect. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Jesus.
Nice to meet you all.
Gabriel, let's do it. We're getting to the top of the hour here, and I've got to get on Levi here, who's asking a question as well. You're muted.
Sorry about that. I'll get to Levi like you can get to Levi after real quick. And correct me if I'm wrong. This is just something I want to say to Jesus because I don't know much about the United States, how the laws work and everything. But I think as a general advice, at least from what I've learned, is if you already have the connections in your role to get the leads, don't take out of consideration just doing the sales aspect of it is one of the most important things because you're already providing immense value from it. Because as we mentioned a lot of times, some people don't even reach out, they don't even answer their phones, they don't even go through the steps. And consider like having a performance partner that is gonna do that for you, that they've already gone through all the process of investing into the equipment, getting the license and everything, and you're just reaping the benefits of having your connections and doing the sales. Then learning from them and how they're doing it, then you have a closer look on how they perform their systems, what lines are doing, like with the information that Joe will send you, without you risking anything. You put your toes in, and then you can go all in after that. But correct me if I'm wrong on that.
The GC model is hard in California, unless you are licensed. But what you can do for sure is if you wanted to be a lead generation and a lead distribution company, you could do that and take a percentage of a deal as a referral fee. You could do that temporarily while you're moving the needle to get your licensing if you're wanting to self-perform. But that's something you could do for sure. It's a very good point, Gabriel. Very, very good point. And a lot of people will take, on asphalt maintenance and repair jobs that are high margin, you can take anywhere from 10 to 15% on top line in a lot of cases. Obviously, that company needs to have significant margin. Everybody has to win at the table. When you start getting into paving projects, you might get a much smaller piece because the margins drop significantly. So you might get 1% or 1.5% if it's a referral, depending on the scope of the project. Levi, hey guys, I'm from Southeast Texas and would like to know what's the best way to get in with corporate companies. It's so difficult to deal with gatekeepers. Yeah, I agree, man. If you have the mindset of it's so difficult with gatekeepers, it's always going to be difficult for sure, brother. My best recommendation to you is to go through the model of actually helping those gatekeepers become like the champions for you to be able to make the introduction. So the mindset, what I would say to you, Levi, is like straight up, man, it's like the gatekeepers are my best friends. I don't see them as like somebody who's blocking me from the opportunity. I'm like, whoever Sally is or Rob or whoever is the gatekeeper at the front who's responsible for doing the blocking, I'm like, how can I play some chess here and get them super excited and laugh on the phone with me and have some good times? And so let's identify first and foremost, the number one if you're trying to get into corporate and you're trying to get into commercial properties, enterprise level clients, what do you think would trigger the gatekeeper's mind to potentially get you through to the person responsible for that pavement asset? What would be one tactical approach? Raise your hand if you know one tactical approach to get through that gatekeeper. Let's let Gabriel do it. Go ahead, Gabriel. You're up. You got your hand up.
I think, like when you mention like potholes being liability issues, I think a lot of times if you're discussing things about the law or something that's gonna affect the company, that's not just the gatekeeper. It's just that if they don't even refer to you, they're doing a bad job technically. Because it's like, oh, I'm preventing the company from having a potential liability issue being fixed or at least being taken a look at.
Sally, I'm giving you a call over here. Are you located at 1347 Hendrick Street over there? Yes, got it. So then for sure you've seen that pothole out in the parking lot, right? No, I haven't. Actually, it's a really big one, and I'm sure it's parked pretty close to your car, and I'm sure you would never want to get out of your car in stiletto high heels and trip in that pothole, right, Sally? No, I would never want to trip in that pothole. Yeah, that would suck not only for your ankle, but it would suck for the person responsible for the pavement asset because that's a liability and you could go ahead and litigate, and you'd never want that with one of your customers or tenants that might be at the property there, correct? Yes, got it. Okay, who's the person responsible for the pavement asset? So I can actually send through a video that I took of that pothole because I'd like to get that through to the person who's responsible for it. Oh shit, you mean you have a video of this liability risk on the pavement that now could potentially get put on social media? Not that she would say that, but I'm subconsciously, was she thinking about things now that like, holy cow, man, there's a pothole. I've laughed. Okay. Dan's the person, he's the property manager, he's responsible. If somebody trips and falls in the parking lot, go to Dan, not me. But I'll be happy to connect you with Dan. Sally, I'm sending you a bouquet of roses right now. What kind of coffee do you drink? You double? What do you drink? Like, how do you get through the gatekeeper? Make them laugh, have some fun, speak about some pain points, talk about how she was awesome answering the phone. Not many companies answer the phone nowadays, Sally. You did a great job answering that phone. Hey, quick question for you. Right? And versus, hey, it's Levi calling from Pavement Services, Texas over here. I'm giving a call over there because I would like to speak to the person who's responsible for the pavement so I can get over a pavement quote for you. Like, and I'm not saying you would do that, but like the majority of people will take the approach of just trying to like blast through the gatekeeper as though the gatekeeper is a secretary and just a secretary. Treat people really fun and energetic and the way that they deserve to be treated. We're all human, no matter what position you are. I don't give a shit if you're the president of the company or if you're somebody at that front desk. I want to make you laugh all the way through. I want you guys all smiling when I'm talking about this shit right now, because that's the important thing. We got to build the emotion and the energy and the story into these conversations. Otherwise, we're just going to be another person knocking on the door trying to shove the quote down the throat. Have fun with it, guys. You are the master of your canvas. You get to paint with your conversations, with your emails. Be different. Differentiate the video messages that you sent. It's like, I'm too shy to shoot a video message. And I'm like, no, you're not too shy. You just haven't done it before. Go practice. Let's get to work.
Plus, if you promise to bring her a coffee or a rose, do it. Because she'll be like, oh my goodness, I thought you were just saying that. She will. She'll be your biggest fan, and she will put you through no matter what.
I remember when I closed Fairview Shopping Center in the West Island of Montreal, back when I owned Imperial Asphalt Maintenance. I was 19 years old, turning 20, and it was 1,000,002 square feet. And I remember what it was like to get that job. And I had to drop off Tim Hortons. Does anyone know what Tim Hortons is, by the way? It's like the Canadian Dunkin' Donuts. Is there Tim Hortons in the States anywhere? No? There are? Matthias, you're nodding.
Yeah, there is now. Wendy's bought it.
Yeah. Wendy's bought it. Got it. Well, I had to drop off Timbits. I had to drop off the double coffees. I had to just butter it up to make sure that I was like getting into that office, and they're like, welcome back, Judd. You got the coffee? Darn right. I got the coffee for you. probably spent $300 in coffee to land a $400,000 job. You know what I mean? Be tactical, have fun.
Was it
Go
worth
paint.
it?
Yeah, a lot of it, of course. And it sucked
Of
too.
course.
A million square feet is a lot. Ask Dom, he'll tell you. It's a lot. Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, we are wrapping up on the roundtable. We've gone through 8 p.m. and I just want you all to know I really appreciate all your time, your energy, your dedication, commitment. Great questions. Everybody got some golden nuggets taken away tonight? You got some good takeaways? All right, cool. That's what we try to drop here on the roundtable every single week. So everyone on here, please go practice. Don't just practice though. Go out there and actually make it happen. Do it. Let's go. Looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Same time, same place, right here on the AK Roundtable. Have a great night, everybody. See ya.